All right. Good evening, podcast world, and hopefully those out there on Facebook land. Well, time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. We have a special guest for you.
Oh, yes, we do.
All the way from the East Coast.
I'm excited. I
Yeah,
don't know about you all.
that's right. Tania's going to read your bio, and then we're going to get started, ask you a few questions, let you tell your story.
All right. Hello, everybody out there. Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land. It's good. I'm telling you, we have a special guest today. Her name is Yvonne D. McClendon, the voice of sanity in the midst of all wedding craziness. I like that. For more than 10 years now, Ms. McClendon has guided brides, grooms, and their parents through the process of creating their fantasy wedding celebration with a practical yet decidedly distinguished touch. In addition, she has appeared as a guest expert for bridal show events launched to a new contour collection. As president of Merino USA Inc., a bridal gown manufacturer, producer of Wedding Channel Couture Show, and it's the bridal industry trade show, and sales manager director with Couture bridal designers such as Matthew Christopher, opened and co-managed first showroom in USA for the Italian designer, Peter Langner Roma, and Manel bridal consultant, and an upscale fashion retailer, Bergdorf, Goodman, and Marshall Fields back in the day. All right, bridal consultant for them. She was the president of Bride's Day, a wedding consulting, coordinating, and directing service, earned the title of certified wedding consultant from ABC, has coordinated the details of grand celebrations for up to 1,000 guests, as well as an intimate affair for 50 or less. For those couples with a desire to forego the planning of a wedding, she designed and opened the perfect option, the Crystal Garden Wedding Chapel. She was also a radio video host. She created and produced Before I Do. This popular radio program provided clever advice about wedding etiquette, budget expectations, emerging wedding trends, and stylish entertaining suggestions. Creator and host of the Plus Side Bridal Chat. All right, I like that. She wrote also a comprehensive wedding planning book entitled Prenuptial Bliss, What Every Woman Should Know Before Planning a Wedding. Distributed to bookstores throughout the United States. It's a step-by-step advice on every aspect of planning a wedding. Advice featuring various national publications, including Brides Magazine, the New York Times, Vows, as well as numerous radio stations and multiple formats across the country, including news talk, classic rock, and adult contemporary. TV appearances include Lifetime cable show, Get Married, ABC Chicago, Fox 2 Detroit, Better Connecticut, Good Day Colorado, and Cark Today, Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm telling you, girl, you've been all over. I'm just...
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Oh my goodness, a little bit. I see why they call you the expert.
All right.
Hi, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
I am, listen, I woke up, I'm still on this side of life. Every positive and beautiful thing is possible from there. So I am good.
All right. Now I hear you. I feel the same way. So look, this is what I'm gonna do. Because you got a whole lot, because y'all don't know that she only read like about 10% of this bio. But so one thing, it might be on that other page you sent me. Where did you go to school?
Which one?
High school. We don't care about high school and college.
I went to the fabulous Cass Technical High School.
All right, there we go.
Yes, ma'am.
You find them all over.
Yeah, we
yes, ma'am.
Cass is batting like about 65-70% on this show.
On this show,
yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Right. And where did you go to college?
I went to Western Michigan University.
And Western is batting. Western probably about 40% of the guests been to Western.
So. And have you been up there lately?
No. I went
You
2 years
wouldn't
ago. We
know
went
it.
past there. I didn't go to the school though.
You wouldn't know it.
No.
I had to turn on navigation in the car. You have got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember how we drove past Sangren Hall to get
Yeah.
down to the valley? You can't
Right.
drive that way anymore.
Really?
I'm telling you. They're
Wow.
getting ready to knock down the Student Center building because they have built a new one.
Okay. They all fancy then. Well, you know, my cousin, she got a bachelor and master's from Western, and now she's on the alumni board or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she plays Delta up at Western, so she's
Okay.
yeah,
She's very
Yeah.
active.
very active because she was just up there
Nice.
for homecoming. So and
Nice.
Brandis graduated from Western, our producer.
Very nice, Brandon. Very nice.
Right, and she did let me know that our sound is up. So
Oh, okay, great.
yes, we should be good.
All right.
So
That's because she went to Western. They know how to figure that stuff out.
that's right. That's right. Right. She didn't go to Cass, but we ain't gonna hold that against her. So let's get into this thing.
Okay.
How did you get from Cass to Western to the bridal industry?
Okay. In Cass, I was in fashion merchandising.
There we go.
I always thought that I would be a designer.
Okay.
I started sewing at 7. Every important gown I ever needed or wanted, I made.
Okay.
And to get out of Cass, I had to, and because Cass was a college prep, high school, I had to design something, make the pattern for it, and then make it. I had to do all of that to get to graduate. So I always wanted to go to FIT in New York.
Okay.
But I had 3 younger brothers. And at that time, I just thought I would be taking all the money out of the household, being an out-of-state student. So I said, okay, I'll stay in state. And that's how I ended up at Western. I really didn't want to go to Michigan. Not that there's anything wrong with Michigan, it's not. It's just that a lot of Cass went to Michigan and U of M, and I just wanted to branch out a little bit and do something that was a little different. So that's how I ended up going to Western.
And if I could cut in for a second, when you got to Western, you found out a lot of us went to Western.
A lot of us went to Western. Exactly. A lot of us went to Western, which is still fine.
Right.
And when I got there, I enrolled into fashion merchandising there. Well, when I got there, they were talking about taking a whole semester to make a skirt. And I'm like, I can do this overnight and bring it back to class tomorrow. So that's when I made a pivot and said, okay, let me go into business so that I understand what happens to my designs once they're off the table.
Oh, look at you
and
making
get into production and that kind of thing, and the business end. So that's how I ended up in business. That's how I ended up at Western. From Western, I got myself a, not a fellowship, but what did they call it back then? When
internship.
Internship. I got myself an internship in Chicago at Marshall Fields.
Okay.
So I did that. Then when I graduated, I ended up going into Gimbel's, hired me as a manager to go through their program to be a buyer there.
Okay.
So I went to Wisconsin for that because Gimbel's only had a store in Wisconsin and New York.
Right.
And the person that I had been speaking to was from the Midwest division.
Okay.
Did that. And when I got to Wisconsin, that's when I realized I was culturally spoiled. I was living on the river. right downtown.
Mhm.
And we know cold.
Yeah.
We lived in Detroit. We went to school in Western, blizzards and all of that. But I
Right.
am here to tell you, living on the river in Wisconsin, it got so cold, my eyelashes were sticking together just walking down the street. Because you know how when the wind blows, you
Right.
tear up
Wet.
and all of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, not no cold. It was no joke.
Right.
Then when I was trying to connect with the African-American community, I was asking, where's the African-American on this? Where's the African-American on
Mhm.
that? And they were saying, we don't have that. And I'm like, well, why not? And they literally lived across the railroad tracks. And I said, well, why not? And they said, because they won't let us. And I'm like, who won't let you?
Right. Who is who? Who are they?
What? Who? Yeah, exactly. Who's they? And that's when I decided, okay, I cannot stay here and wait for people to catch up to where I am. I need to move
Right.
so that I can continue to evolve and grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back to Detroit, and that's when I had people ask me, Yvonne, do you know a florist? Do you know a caterer? Do you know what this? Do you know that? And I always had somebody that I could refer them to. And
Okay.
flippantly one day, be careful what you put out in the universe.
That's right.
Flippantly one day, I said, oh, I could be a wedding coordinator. And after that, I would ask people, it may be a month before or 2 weeks before, aren't you excited? The wedding's coming up, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, hell no, I'm ready to go to the justice of the peace and call it a day. And I'm like, wait a minute. You have got, the wedding is June 25th and you can't wait for June 26th. I said, there is something wrong. You got thousands of dollars committed for June 25th.
Right.
That you can't get back just because of. And when I stepped back to try to figure out why, we do nothing that prepares us for planning a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Not having a birthday, not having a quinceañera, not having a sweet 16, nothing.
Right.
This one did mine.
And I'm gonna talk about that in a minute too. But nothing, absolutely nothing prepares us for doing that.
Right.
And when I realized that, I was like, oh, because you know what, and now I'm gonna go back a bit. When I was at Western, I was a part of the committee that did the conference, Consortium of Ebony Concerns.
Okay.
We did this huge conference every year for students to come together from all across country.
Yeah.
We brought in Shirley, I will forever remember her and be grateful to her, but we brought in like Shirley Chisholm, Ruby D and Ozzie Davis, all of that. So I knew about coordinating stuff like that. And that's fun to me. It's not stressful.
Right.
So that's when I said, well, if I can do that, I can do this. And if I can help couples, help brides get through the process in a way that they want to be present on their wedding day, I'm going to do it. Right. And that's how I got into wedding consulting. That was the genesis of the Bride's Day.
Okay.
I also worked in a bridal salon because I could tell they were having issues with that too. Just to help them through the process of finding the gown and blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, I wanted to do more in the industry. While I was in Detroit, as you read, I did do the radio program. And again, that was just my way of reaching out, trying to get the information out so that couples, brides would know this is what you can expect in trying to plan this. Because if you're working, because back then, that's when women were really getting involved in the workforce. So now you're working 8 hours, 10 hours a day. planning a wedding is another job, especially when you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And unfortunately, you can't do a dress rehearsal of everything. You got to learn how to do it and do it at the same time.
Right. Right.
And that's just a lot of stress. It's just a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for the radio show. That was the reason for the book, for the brides that I had worked with. I began to see a trend, and in one chapter is called Why Best Friends Turn Out to Be Not So Good Bridesmaids. And I talk about how you can have girlfriends that are with you every step of the way. And sometimes you really don't realize it, but sometimes you already know, but you just don't want to accept it. But they're trying to go toe to toe with you.
Right.
And when it comes time to get married, well, they can't quite get toe to toe with you to do that. So all of a sudden, you know, she's not turning up to help you with whatever it is you're asking her to do.
Right.
Or I had one bride, her bridesmaid got engaged too. So
she didn't get engaged at the wedding, did she?
No, this was prior to the
okay.
wedding, because she was expecting her to help her in planning her wedding. But now, oh, I got a wedding to plan too. So that became a big to do. And women just need to be on the lookout to get somebody who's really is in your corner and not jealous of you.
Listen, we know somebody who that exact thing happened to, don't we?
See?
They was planning the wedding and they best friend come in talking about, oh, I'm getting married too. Remember?
See? I tell no lie.
She don't want to say nothing, but she know. She knows exactly who that happened to. It wasn't her. It wasn't her.
Okay. But my point is, if they read the book, they would sort of know ahead of time. You don't get caught like a deer in headlights, because that creates the stress.
Right.
That's the stress of the wedding, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's how I got there.
Right. So let me ask you a question then. You talked about the show, the radio program, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me, how did that go? I mean, you know, because I know you did it for a limited amount of time, but how did that work? Did it go for you?
It went well. And what I mean by well, initially I started the show thinking that people would call in, and I forgot what I already knew, which was they didn't know enough of nothing to call in and talk about something.
Right.
Okay. So I changed, I pivot again, and each week I talked about something different that pertained to planning the wedding. And then at the end of the show, that's when I would take questions. Now, I was hoping to reach couples and brides. And I had a grandfather that called in. Shocked me. And he says, well, I'm just calling because I've got some young people in my family and I want to be able to help them through. And I was like, oh my God. I had another woman that called, and she was upset because her son was getting married, but I guess he wasn't doing it, or they weren't doing it the way that she wanted them to do it.
Of course.
And I had to talk to her. I actually talked to her off the air, because I told her, I said, what difference does it make? I said, because what you're doing right now is going to affect your relationship going forward.
Right.
And does whatever it is she was upset about, and it's been a while, so I don't remember exactly what it was she was upset about, but I said, whatever it is, if you continue to hold on to this like this, you're going to miss out. But it's your choice. I am not telling you what to do.
Right.
I'm just saying, this is what you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what you can expect I think you could expect going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it in that regard, I think it was a success because people were listening. They may not have called, but they were listening.
Okay.
But and another thing I would like to talk about was the plus size women chat, trying to find their gowns and going through all that stress, because like you said, the industry was not geared toward plus size women.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting how that happened. I was working for the Knot at the time and producing the bridal industry trade show. The Knot bought the previous company. So, whenever something buys another one, they commence to. So I was on the chopping, but yeah, I got shown the door. So the next thing I know, a headhunter called me saying that there was a company, a Japanese company, that wanted to talk to me because they wanted to launch a collection. So I told her, I said, well, ask them what part of the market they're trying to reach and, what's their targets, all that kind of stuff. And she came back and she said, they don't know. I said, well, tell them I'm not interested.
Right.
And then and then she called me back. She says, but they really want to talk to you. And I was like, I said, okay. I said, I guess I have nothing to lose. Maybe I can inform them.
Right.
So, and that just goes to for people listening. Sometimes your opportunities come in a way you don't expect. Because I didn't go after this. This came to me. It was not a struggle. It came to me. So I went and I talked to them. And I asked them, they showed me pictures, and the pictures were of little hats going to the side and plaids and purples and just the essence of Japanese. So I put in the politest tone I could find. I asked, I said, it was like, no, and no. What makes you think that the American market would go for this? And they said, well, Europe loves this. And I said, okay, hold on. I said, what you have to understand is in America, as much as we talk about being fashion forward and trendy and all of that, I said, when it comes time for a wedding, I don't care how trendy she is.
Right.
Every bride becomes traditional and classic. And they want a little twist, but they're not twisting that much. So this cannot work. And they said, okay, well then would you just think about it? We want you to, and I'm like, nah. And they said, and I said, okay, let me think about it. So I'm sitting around, because I told them, I said, there are thousands of brands out here now that the consumer has to choose from. What makes you different?
Right.
What are you going to do that's different? So I was thinking about it. I'm saying, God, what can we do that's different? What's different? And that's when it hit me, a good size 12. A good size 12 cannot walk into a salon and zip up a gown. Right. It's not happening. It's not happening. And there were gowns that were available. And just like we have different categories of cars, you got different categories of gowns.
Right.
But there was never at that time, and I hate saying full figure plus size because the average size woman is a 12 or 14 now. Yeah. So I say it respectfully. Curvy. Yes. And I say it respectfully. That part of the market didn't have couture, nice things to choose from. So I said, okay, that's what we can do to get media, to get front and forward, to at least get a shot. And that's how the whole full figure plus size came about.
Yes.
The collection was called Bara Lux, and Bara means rose in Japanese.
Okay.
So it translates to not full figure plus size, it translates to luxury rose. And we had a Missy collection. So that was Bara Champagne. So they were both equal in terms of labeling. A funny thing happened in working with different cultures. This Japanese company was on the stock exchange in Japan. They owned a factory in China. So when it came time for production, I had to go to Shanghai, China. And when we got to the factory, they were insistent on not changing the way they do patterns. And I told them, number one, you have to get body forms from the US. You can't get them from China. I said, the American body is a different proportion than Asian bodies.
Right.
I said, the patterns that we do, we have to make the base pattern for the Luxe collection a size 14. No, a size 18.
Okay.
And they were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I said, you cannot grade a pattern in size 6
Right.
up to an 18. We went from 18 to 26, size 26. There was no way you could grade that. I knew that from high school, not from college, from high school.
Right, right.
So we went back and forth and back and forth. You're gonna laugh at this. When I had the meeting, I innocently, naively thought that all Asians understood each other. So wrong. When I was around the conference table in Shanghai, I actually picked the designer of the collection. That's another whole story, but he was Japanese, but he had studied in Europe. So his taste level was, in my opinion, wonderful and perfect for what we needed. So we were sitting around the table and the conversation about bus cup size came up. So I told them, I said, well, for the Luxe collection, the bus cup size needs to start out at least a D cup. Can't have a B cup. And they were looking back and forth like they weren't understanding what I was talking about. So I had to take my jacket off and say, cup needs to be bigger.
Yeah, you had to expand it.
I did. I kid you not. That's what I did. But it got the point across, and the gowns.
I'm sure it did.
What year was this?
This was 2009.
Oh,
2009. And then to have the conversation when we went back, they made the collection. We went back to review the collection before it came to the US. We were sitting around the table. They had hired a translator for me.
Okay.
Because the factory had a young lady that understood Mandarin. And Japanese. My designer was Japanese. So it's hilarious to talk about it now. Anything that was said needed to be translated 3 times.
3 times.
Chinese, Japanese, and English.
Right.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
if I said something, Japanese to Mandarin. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Goodness.
And hope that they said what you said.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there were a couple of times, not during those meetings, but we would eat together and that kind of stuff. And the designer, I have to tell you this, I never knew this prior to having this position. On a trip we were out sightseeing, so I and the designer were having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, I said, how is it that some people speak English and some don't? And he says, well, no, everybody speaks. And I'm like, really? He says, yes, they have to pass the English proficiency exam to graduate school.
Well.
And prior to being with this company, I had worked with another Japanese company when I was producing the bridal industry trade show. And they travel in an entourage. There's never just one person. There's usually 4 or 5, whatever. So we were sitting around the table and there was always one person that was doing the translating. Mm-hmm. They were there for a week. The very last day, the one person that I thought really didn't understand anything, all of a sudden they spoke English.
Start speaking English.
So when my designer told me that, I said, oh my God. When I came back, I told everybody, I said, listen, if you are ever in the company of a Japanese person, make sure you don't say anything sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And then wonder what happened. You thought you were having a good relationship, mm-hmm. and all of a sudden it's like, huh?
Right.
Because they understand mm-hmm. every single thing you said.
Right. And they want you to think they don't, so that you do say something sideways.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward, these designers now, I was surprised when they had a heavy, plus size woman win Project Runway. And then she was designing clothes.
I haven't watched it in a while. They did?
But that was, she won that back in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And she had a line in JCPenney's. Because she said we want, we want choices. We want to have fun with our fashion, just like the ladies with smaller cup sizes or whatever. Body types do,
Yeah.
I was just so impressed because I was elated when she won, because I was like, wow. And that's what the industry needed that. And now they even have, it was one designer on there. I was watching the show last week. She had somebody in a wheelchair. She had a woman in there with a leg prosthesis. I mean, I was just thrown for a loop. Right. And I was just saying, see those things that one thing you did back then, I mean, it just spearheaded everything else.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
it's
so.
just amazing.
Well, don't try to buy anything online from over there.
I know.
Because they still haven't gotten it. If it's listed as small, large, or medium,
it'd be always
it's not going to fit you. I know on Amazon with the men's clothes now, they'll have a size and then they'll put the equivalent size.
But Dave, you know what you have to watch out for? Even brides still need to watch out for it. And it happened because so many American manufacturers have their products over there. Then they copy them and then put them on Amazon. So when you're buying from a company that is in China, it is going to be funky.
Yeah.
But most people don't take the time to really look because the price is so good.
Right.
But it's not worth it.
The pictures are so professional too.
Yeah,
well, then they take the pictures and so you think you're buying the same thing and you don't realize it until you get it and see, well, it's not exactly the same.
Right. Well, they pin it up and tape it up and crop it up to make it look perfect on the mat dummy to take the picture. What I want to do right now before we get back into your things is that, did I tell you about the question we always ask the guests? I know you know about it. Is there something that you learned on your journey that your mother didn't tell you that you might have wished you would have?
Ooh.
because you've been through a lot.
Yeah, you had a journey, even when you left home.
The one thing is what my mother did tell me that
Okay.
has been like my North Star, and I didn't realize it until, when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
She told me to always get a good understanding.
Okay. Okay.
Always get a good understanding.
Yeah.
And to me, that is so wise, because for me, I don't know about anybody else, but when you have a good understanding, you have peace.
Yes. Yes.
You have clarity.
Yeah.
So always she saw that, make sure you get a good understanding.
Right.
Mhm.
And that is the one I don't know. I can't think of anything that let me think about it. Maybe I'll come up with something before the end of the show.
Well, I bet you didn't tell them
Well, like
Japanese
what
people
was it?
speak English.
No, she did not tell me that.
Look, who was that sang ain't understanding mellow?
That's right.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite songs that my mother loved.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we were, we always go research our guests and look at stuff that they've done, they're doing, whatever. And we were looking at the video series you did with the full size
Plus size.
Mhm.
plus size women. Well, now
The conversation.
the
that I did?
conversation,
Yeah, the
yeah,
conversation.
conversation, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, that was done in New York, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because one of them had a distinct accent.
Yes.
The other two not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how did that? Did you do that one time, or was it a 3-part session you had with those three?
I did it that one time. We hired a PR company for the company for Mary Mo,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do that conversation just so the brides would know that we were serious and that we understood and that we had listened to brides
Okay.
that had an experience. Because one of the brides, if I'm remembering correctly, she ordered her gown. She never even bothered to go
Right.
to a salon
Right. Yeah.
because she already knew.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and she said the first time anybody other than her saw it was at the wedding,
mhm,
which
mhm,
is which was crazy.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it was just that one time. It wasn't a series. It was just that one time.
Okay.
Well, they definitely provided enough information for you to go forward, move forward with that one.
Mhm.
That was it was stress. That was really stressful.
Right.
Yeah.
So right. So what's the big thing now?
The big thing now is trying to position myself in a way in the industry to be synonymous with stressless wedding planning.
Okay.
And to also, I think people have gotten used to weddings being stressful and they miss how really special weddings are. And I think I have thought about it to a depth that maybe most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is this: weddings are the only celebrations that we have, or celebration that we have that celebrates society.
Okay.
Okay, we've got the 4th of July that celebrates independence. We've got Columbus Day. We got Mother's Day. But when you talk about the world coming together, all we ever really hear is the discord in that.
Right.
And people think that the change is going to happen in Congress or in this or in that. But the change is happening with us.
Okay.
Whenever a Catholic marries a Baptist, an African marries a Polish, an Indian marries a true American Indian. I hate calling them indigenous people.
Indigenous, I know.
But it's happening. That's where the harmony is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the love is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the acceptance is. So, and I'm not taking anything away from those who are protesting the whatevers,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying it's happening, and people are missing it.
Mm-hmm. They can do about it.
For weddings, it's really priceless. People talk about how much it costs, but when you think about what you get, sometimes that's the only time you see great aunt so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the only time you meet that second cousin that you've always heard about but never met.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That is priceless.
Right.
It is priceless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no other event where that happens. You know? You got
not happy.
family.
Not happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The only other time, sometimes it sort of happens at family reunions, but usually, to me, in my opinion, I may be wrong, usually that's all still just local.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the wedding, you got people that will
Come
travel
mm-hmm.
for that. The other one is when people make their transition to the other side of life. And that's a different somber occasion. You're trying to heal and make it through and all of that. Whereas a wedding,
reconnect,
it's just priceless.
Right.
I don't care. And I'm not saying that people should spend more than they have to spend. I'm just saying, see the value in what it is that you are spending.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be so sarcastic about it. I'm hoping that I can put together some programs and things that will allow people to understand what's going on when they go to a ceremony. A lot of times you can't hear nothing. And so people come and they sit and they're like, okay, did they kiss yet? Because they know if they kiss, then it's over and we can get to the party.
Yeah, right.
Within the ceremonies, if there are these rituals that have meaning, why not be aware of that? Why not celebrate that? Why not try to understand that if it's a tradition of a different culture?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of things that are the same, but it's just expressed differently in different cultures.
Right. Yeah, because I had a girlfriend that
so that's
she had I think they went to an Indian woman because they had to put the little what is it, the gem on their forehead.
Yes.
And,
yep.
Yeah, and she
she
placed she put the pictures on Facebook, and I was like, oh, that is so nice. And then on one of her sons, they live in Atlanta, and one of her sons had a best friend that was of another culture. I don't know if he was Indian or Hindu or what, but he ended up killing himself, and that was devastating to her son. And that was one of his best friends, and it was like, I just could not. I'm just saying, through these other people, and like you said, and she was telling me about the ceremony and how it was different from hers, and it was very interesting. I was really pulled in.
Yeah. But wouldn't it have been nice to go and as they were doing those things to already sort of know what it is they're doing, and maybe not understand everything, but at least have an awareness of it.
Right.
Know some difference about to happen. Because it's cross-cultural relationships are becoming more and more,
yeah.
fashionable. I mean, they just are.
Mhm.
And so
I went to the baby shower.
the baby shower. Yeah.
We just went to.
Yep. So
Yeah.
so it is what it is. So we got to learn how to get along with each other anyway. And so you're right. What better place than when people doing it out of love as opposed to out of hate. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the way the Lord planned it.
Exactly.
That's the way the Lord planned it.
Right. So you did some TV appearances.
Yes. It was all mostly with the collection for the full figure plus size.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I traveled a lot for that. The TV show Get Married, it was the same thing. They did a segment where they showed the runway show.
Okay.
And they interviewed myself and the designer.
Okay.
And we just talked about, the why of it. And I just reiterated that all women should have an opportunity to have a wonderful bridal gown shopping experience.
Yes.
And, that size 12, 18, 20 should be able to put on a gown, zip it up, sashay around the
and be
salon,
beautiful like she is.
Feel it.
Right.
Exactly. Feel it and know it versus walking around with clips in the back. I mean, we do the best that we can. I put myself back in the bridal salon just on Saturdays and Sundays because I hadn't had my finger on the pulse of the bride for so long because I had been strictly on the wholesale side.
Okay.
And it's different. It's different. They have a lot more to choose from. They travel in entourages, unlike they did in prior days. I had one bride and it just, I don't want to say it hurt my heart, but I felt for her. She had come to town for her cousin's graduation. The fiance or boyfriend knew that the family would be coming together in New York for that. So he planned a proposal. And I guess he told the girlfriends because they dragged her to a bridal gown appointment the next day.
Oh, wow.
So when I got her, she told me what had happened. I said, congratulations. I said, but I don't even know what to ask you right now because you haven't even absorbed that you're engaged yet. I said, so come on, we're just going to, try a few gowns and just see. Yeah. Well, the girlfriends, and I think there was 3 or 4 of them. I think we did maybe 3 dresses. We did 4, 4 dresses. And they got a little upset with me because they wanted her to try something else. And I said, no. I said, this is it. Just these 4. Because in the fitting room, she was almost in tears because it was just too soon.
Too soon. Yeah.
Too soon.
Right. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
No, I was gonna say, finding your wedding gown is not a performance for your friends.
Right. Right.
It's not. And it's a journey. And usually she's finding out where she's gonna fit in this whole thing. Because 9 times out of 10, the exact thing she says she would never wear for her wedding is the exact thing she tries on and says, oh my God, I look damn good. And nobody told me it was gonna look like this. She's saying, I would never wear strapless. And she tries on a strapless gown and feels that she's her best self.
Right.
But then you got a girlfriend saying, well, I thought you said you didn't.
Yeah. Shut up. So let me ask you a question. Did she wind up getting married?
Who?
The woman you're talking about, or was this recently?
This has been a while. This has been
that was one.
It's been a while ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. She didn't come back to my salon.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Right, because she probably, like you were saying, she probably wasn't even sure she wanted to get married. Because when women get surprised with proposals, most of the time they say yes just to not to embarrass somebody. Because unless she had been talking about getting married, she probably didn't even know she wanted to marry that guy.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I don't know. He had to ask me again.
I don't know, but I will tell you, years ago when I was in a salon in Michigan, actually in Birmingham, I had a bride. She came back and she looked gorgeous in the gown. And it was always something. And so finally, I just took her aside. I said, "Are you really ready to get married?" And she busted out in tears. And she said, and I said, you may want to do it, but maybe it's not the right time, or you're not the person that you want to be yet, something. She broke down in tears and she says, "Yeah, something about the groom." I said, "Well, you should stop shopping for the gown and go back and have that conversation that you need to have." Because when they nitpick at the gowns too much, it's not about the gown.
Right.
It's not. I tell them, I said, this gown, women have no other reason to wear a wedding dress except for a wedding. It means you get ready to do something.
That's right.
And if some part of you isn't ready to do that, it's going to come out while you're trying on dresses.
I know that body language ain't no joke.
It's always going to be something that's not right.
Right.
You look gorgeous in the gown, but something that's not, it's not about the dress.
Right.
It's not. So somebody needs to give me a honorary psychology degree or something.
Yeah, because you've been thinking about it, and you've been in deep thought. You wrote a book about it.
Is that book still available?
I can send you one. I still have it.
So okay. All right.
Yeah, I can still send you one. And I was really happy about that because, I knew nothing about publishing. And for those of you who are listening and said, I can't do that because I don't know. I knew nothing about publishing. I just knew I needed to write this book. I went to Barnes and Noble, my favorite store, Barnes and Noble. What was that? And Borders. No, I went to Borders. Yeah. That was Borders. And bought books on publishing and put it all together. I remember I sent letters to Barnes and Noble because I wanted to do book signings. And they sent me a letter back saying, "Well, we can't do that. We usually work through a distributor, blah, 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 blah." And I think two days later, I got a letter back from the distributor saying that they would distribute the book.
Okay.
So I ended up self-publishing, doing my own PR to get the book out there. So, if it's something you want to do, just go for it.
Yeah.
It'll work out. I did book signings. I got myself signed up for book signings at Barnes and Noble there locally. I think I did about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Sound like he's still out there. You never know. It might be in the fashion and merchandising class. You never know. I'm telling you. The way the Lord is working now, these new entrepreneurs, everything blows up. I'm just and like you said, people been in the t-shirt business for years, and now it's still blowing up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's still blowing up.
Yeah.
So what's old is always new.
Always new.
Yeah.
Listen, and in the store, I gotta tell you this, only because you said what's old is new again. I saw a Victrola turntable with a cassette and a CD
and
player,
a CD player,
all on it. I said, "Oh my God!" The only people buying that are those people that got
Old
LPs,
school, yeah.
CDs, and cassettes.
Right.
Well, they on the news the other day. Vinyl records are hot again.
Yeah.
People are buying them.
They've been hot for a while. There's a lot of people that still have vinyl. They still have it. It's just the only problem with it is that you got to be very careful with it, because if it gets hot, it'll warp. If you mistreat it, it'll get scratched.
Yep.
So usually they recommend only taking it out on special occasions.
But yeah, like you said, but it's old and it's new again, because they was just doing that the other day.
But you know, your story is like, you know, we've had a few other folks that have had a similar experience where they got directed into an area, not because that's where they wanted to go,
right,
but because that's where they were guided.
Exactly, honey. They sure did.
Yeah,
they were guided that way, and every step of the way, opportunity presented itself. That it's like our last guest. She wound up with a novelty store because a friend of a friend had her selling Michael Jackson gloves after a concert. And now she's been in business 35 years now.
Wow.
just had an anniversary.
Just had an anniversary
this past Saturday.
Opened a store
she opened a store with she bought a building downtown. Remember where the Letterman Jackets used to get them on Grass?
Yes.
She wound up, I don't know if she purchased it or was leasing that space in there.
Really?
With all she had was roses,
purple
roses that she sold at a Prince concert.
Wow.
That's how she started.
Wow.
So, that's how she started. I couldn't believe it.
So like you were saying earlier, you know, we get directed, we get guided, we get pushed, opportunities present themselves, and all we have to do is just say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then look at the lives that we can affect.
Yeah.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah, because like I said, when I watched that video, that interview that you did with those three young ladies, that was eye-opening. Even today, because that's a problem that, thank God, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's a problem that women have dealt with for years.
And same thing with all the, you know, the handicapped. They running down there feeling all important and looking good and strutting their stuff like that. I said, look at God right here. And there was somebody that took an opportunity and let it present itself.
Right.
It was beautiful.
So let me ask you, is there anything else you want to share?
Oh, did you plan your wedding?
Yes. I did all of it.
Sure
you did all of it.
All I had to do was show up with a dress.
Look at you. No, the reason why I ask is I do have to share this. Early on, I used to always just talk to the bride. And I had a bride who contacted me literally 3 months before the wedding. And we got it all done. And her husband to be, I met him, and it was the usual, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And he was like, I gotta go. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't expect anything more. I usually didn't expect to see them until the wedding rehearsal. So she picked the colors and everything for the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, the flowers, everything was falling into place. We go to Northland to the formal wear shop to order the tuxedos. We get there, he does not want to wear gray. It was gray and peach.
Okay.
So everything just stopped for a minute. And we went back and forth. He ended up wearing ivory, which was a godsend, because in my mind, I always see, I visualize things. So in my mind, it's always this very unified picture at the altar when it comes to the colors and everything.
Right.
So the girls are in the peach, they're in the middle. He was supposed to be in gray, but then he's in ivory. Thank God her gown was ivory and not white.
Yes.
Because he would have been completely washed out in white. He would look horrible in white. He would have looked better in gray than being in white.
Yeah.
And every couple I worked with after that, the groom had to come to at least one meeting. That's when I learned that it's not the bride's day, it's the couple's day. And they may not have opinions about everything, but there's always at least one thing that he would like to have. And in a lot of those meetings initially, they were like, I don't care, we can, whatever she wants. So I would start naming hypotheticals, you know, this, and then he said, oh, well, I said, okay. So what is it that you want? And, you know, we would get to it. I had one groom tell me it was about the cake. I don't care. And I said, well, what's your favorite kind of cake? And he said, German chocolate, but we can't do that. And I'm you can do whatever you want to do kind of person.
That's right.
And I told him, I said, listen, if you're worried because you don't want it to be chocolate and you think it's supposed to be white, I said, there is such a thing as white chocolate. I said, the coconut on top is sort of white.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Yeah. I said, do you want a German chocolate cake for your wedding? It's done. Done and done.
That's right.
If that's what you want. I believe everything is possible until it proves itself impossible.
Impossible, that's right.
And I usually can work it out.
Yeah. I know they getting married underwater and everything else now. I'm like,
really?
So why can't you have German chocolate cake if you get married in the underwater?
Yeah.
Jumping out of the
So
airplane.
you and Dwayne Wade are in the same camp.
Oh, because he did his own too.
He got it from me. He actually called me. He
called you. Yeah. He consulted you. Okay.
I gave him a few tips.
He sure did. He planned the whole meal, got the whole, did everything.
Right, because I wound up doing my cousin's wedding, who was actually our ring bearer.
Okay.
I did their wedding.
Okay.
And then when my son got married, I assisted with his because we had somebody that did the planning, but what we did was we split up the dudes. I handled everything that was going on in the church, inside the church, and she handled everything in the back of the church.
Okay.
Because it was just, you know, it worked out better that way for the two of us to do it because the other person is probably doing it well, you know.
Yeah, he sure did. He went on.
Yeah, but you know, as long as you realize what you just said, that it's both of their days. It's her big day, but it's his day too. And when
it's your big day too.
Right.
Well, to me, it's 100, 100. It's 100, 100.
That's true. That's true.
Listen, there could not be if either one of you is missing, there cannot be a wedding.
And if either one of you ain't happy,
100.
right? And if either one of them not happy that day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but he presented the stuff to me, and I was like, that sounds good to me. Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. Because I had another one where the photographer, the groom never met the photographer until the day of the wedding. And it just rubbed him. You know, some people just, you don't know what it is.
Yeah. They just don't get along. Yeah.
And I was right. And I would tell brides all the time, make sure you both go and interview, or if you're going to do the preliminary, you do the preliminary, but make sure he gets to meet this person one-on-one to make sure it works. Because if it doesn't, it's going to show up in your pictures. And guess what? Your pictures is the only thing. After the cake is eaten, you can't get back to that reception facility. The church is gone. The dress don't fit.
You're right.
And the tuxedo is back at the rental.
That's right.
The only thing you have are the pictures.
I know.
Yeah.
That's your investment.
We bring them out
Next
all
to
the
the
time.
ring.
Yeah, that's right.
That company, yeah.
Right. So that's a good tip.
That is. See, that was informative. All these little tips. I was like,
gotta know.
So
everything.
I know that book is full of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for the two of you.
Okay.
How were you okay with not being involved with the planning at all?
Oh, you got a question for her.
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? Like I said, he presented everything to me. It wasn't like, he said my uncle got a hall, and this is right up there. We can just go look at that. And then they planned a meal, and I was like, oh, so-and-so is a good cook, so I'll just, I tasted her food. So
Right, she was involved in everything.
Yeah, I'm just saying he did.
Oh, I did, but she was involved in everything.
But you took the lead.
Right.
Yeah, he took the lead.
Right.
But he did bring everything to me, but he was the one that planned everything.
Okay.
The way we come down the aisle, all that.
We couldn't do anything unless she approved. We couldn't have the church, because we were the church. We were at a small church. So so the pastor had to get another church for us to have a wedding at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we didn't have any control over that, but except we would look at, okay, cool, it's big enough, that's cool. But everything else, I mean, it was like the parts of a wedding that as much as you can remember as a person who attended weddings. So all the things were supposed to happen. I just made sure that they happened, but she had to approve everything that we did.
And see, my mother and stuff was not in town. My mother lived out of state.
Right.
Okay.
And and now, like I said, and I was real close with his mother.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, like you said, and she was just saying, oh, he's having a ball doing this.
Yeah. Right. So it wasn't like I did all this, and when she say all she had to do is show up, that
is basically what I had to do.
That's after everything was planned.
Because like you said, he still had they got together and did the dinner and all of the menu and who was gonna do this and do that. And I was like, dang, I gotta find a girl. He had already had all the men. I was like, dang, I gotta find my girl.
Find the girls.
So he literally still.
But it was the Aztec Mafia, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
was it all of them? Was it all of them?
No, it was Harv, Strang, Hunts, and Ed.
Okay.
Right. And then my Lodge brothers were the ushers.
Okay.
I'm telling you, so he was doing it.
Yeah. But it was
But it was lovely. I had a good time.
I'm sure it was.
He took me on a honeymoon. So I was like, oh, I'm being really tricked.
And then I got the slick deal. Back then, way back then, it was cheap to go places. Was it Presidents I got my tux at? So I had a choice of, I think it's so I named with 5 tuxes, the groom, you got a free trip. Or you got or with 4, you got the groom's tux free.
Free. Okay.
Right. So back then we're talking 30 some years, 36 years ago. So my tux was what, $40? So for me spending $40, we got a trip to Florida.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was,
and not only that, he has a lot of people in his family that are married. Different races, different cultures, all of them, and they have a longevity of marriage in his family, and I don't. So I was really trusting him. He does. They still married today. So that was way back when we got married. All of them are still married today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
She did have input in everything.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, we didn't mean to hold you so long, but it was just.
No, I didn't mean to talk so long.
That's all right.
It's a pleasure talking to like you said, especially about happy occasions. We get carried away. Plus, I love to smile. You brought me a little joy.
That's right.
Nice.
You brought me a little
very
joy.
nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because in this day and age, it's good to talk about good things. And to me, weddings are a good thing. The numbers don't necessarily say, well, the wedding numbers aren't falling off. It's the people staying married. that's the issue. But that's not that bad.
Yeah, and I look at it like life is just a big unending schoolhouse.
Yeah.
You know how much you pay to go to college to learn whatever you learn? I look at weddings the same way. If they end up parting, they learn something.
We hope.
Yeah, well, this is true.
Because just like in
But
school,
my
some
point
people,
is, you still learn. You know, you learn something,
Right.
and you take that information and you move forward.
Right.
Because it ain't like they don't remarry and
Right.
remarry and remarry. They still try to figure it out. But you know
Some
what I'm
people
saying?
still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a lesson everywhere. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we appreciate
right.
you.
Oh, I appreciate you
Yvonne,
all asking me.
It was
No
a pleasure.
problem.
It was a pleasure.
No problem. And so we're gonna let you go. But
Okay.
much success to you. And
Thank you.
And
And the
keep on,
same to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep on doing that good work.
I will. I promise. Right. And I look to see you on Sirius on the roster of things to listen to.
I know, because he has been doing a lot of good work since the pandemic pushed them forward.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't on board at first.
How did you come up with doing this?
Something that I always wanted to do. It's funny.
Okay.
It's funny. Before I retired, they actually had a position for somebody to do podcasts with the government. And but I had no experience, but it was something I always wanted to do. So I wouldn't apply for the job because it was the lead. And then they posted the other position under that one. I said, well, no, I'm gonna apply for that, which was the same grade as mine. I said, I can't do it. So it was just something that I wanted to do. And my niece was doing one. And so, and so when the pandemic hit, we playing the music on the internet, and it just like, oh, now's the time to try it.
There you go.
Yeah. So
there you go. Yeah. That's excellent. Well, I'm happy for you. Happy for both of you.
Thank you.
So keep up the good work.
All right.
CT in the house.
In the house. As always.
That's it.
As always, right? As always.
CT magic.
Yeah.
And you don't know, you said you don't know Daryl, right?
I don't think
Daryl
so.
Pierce. Okay.
Where did he go to school? Did he go to Western?
He was at Cass.
I mean, he went to Cass, but did he go to Western too? Or did he?
No, he didn't go to Western.
I might know him.
I'll see if I can connect you.
Okay. And matter of fact, talk to Charles and Gwen.
I will.
See if we can have them on.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, because I know they've been doing their thing for a long time.
In the city of Detroit.
Right, in the city of Detroit. So,
yeah. Is Norma Jean Bell still around, or does she plays saxophone?
I know she plays saxophone. I don't know if she's still here.
Okay.
I'd have to look.
Okay.
But I don't know if she's still here, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, lovelies, I appreciate you. Have a good night. And Brandis, thank you for everything you're doing too to make this a success.
All right.
I know you can't hear me. I know you're saying thank you.
All righty then.
Virtual hug to you.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.